took my dumb butt up over there to rub his back. Because I'm stupid. Hey YouTube, I am back with another talk and makeup. However, I'm not doing makeup. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like a facial and finish the story about my narcissistic, mentally abusive or emotionally abusive ex. So you may hear my television in the back because my little one is in there playing, and you may hear her a little bit too. So hopefully not too much, but yeah. So my door is closed so she won't hear the conversation. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna do a mini facial and go ahead and go over part 2. I first need to rewind. I kind of got ahead of myself when I talked about what the ex said was going to have to happen for him to move on. And then the part about no makeup and going to go meet his parents. So let me go ahead and get the first part of my facial done. I thought something. I'm gonna begin with the Burt's Bees cleansing oil made with coconut and argan oils, just to remove the dirt and debris from my face. It's also good whenever you wear makeup and as a makeup remover. This is gonna get this off my face. I'm gonna wet my hands a little bit. What I was saying was, before that, I did mention about the few run-ins with the ex. They weren't run-ins, like I said before. They were just times where where we caught the other one with him or whatever. I mean, it wasn't but a few, you know. I'm sure that he did see both of us at the same time. I know he saw both at the same time quite often, because he would do that game where he pretended to be upset with you or something like that in order to see the other person. I guess by time to see the other person. So anyway, I'm going to talk about one particular situation where I was calling him one day and he wasn't answering. So naturally, yeah, I'm gonna pull up. So yes, I am going to pull up to see what's going on. So I get over there and I see her car. I knock on the door. I didn't think he was gonna answer, but I guess he's gonna answer because she knows my car. You know, of course, she's probably gonna look out the window and she don't, you know, and whatever game that he was trying to play, he needed to answer the door. When I get to the end of this, you'll see. So anyway, he opens the door. I'm like, what's going on? You can see her over his balcony. She's looking down at me like, hey, you know, so she's looking at him like, what's going on? She say, I'm about to leave. He like, no, don't leave. Don't leave. Now I'm right there. Don't leave. You don't have to leave or whatever. And he's like, you need me to put your clothes in the dryer? You know, like completely like just playing me. So, yeah, mind you, like, whatever. So anyway, deep inside, she doesn't want to leave. Nor do I want to leave. For whatever reason, we have this ego thing. And I'll discuss that probably in later videos as to how I got where I am. And it's me rethinking or living through those experiences that got me where I am. But yeah, so he's like, yeah, don't leave. Anyway, basically, I guess he's saying I'm gonna handle this or whatever. Probably told her. So he's like, I'm like, what's going on or whatever. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And he's like, well, once I got to thinking, I was like, so what I'm using now is the Andalu. I have no idea how to say it. It's the fruit enzyme mask. You put this on and you leave it on for about 20 minutes. He's like, I, thought things over and I just couldn't believe that I would leave her for just like that, free. So in disgust, like looked at me in disgust. So I'm like, okay, So for him to say that nose ring again. So for him to say that, I have to, yeah, let me bring you to speed. A few nights or so before that, not answering the phone, I come to the house and I see this car in the driveway. I didn't know at the time that, we'll come to find out, he had a lodge meeting. And that was one of the lodge members, I guess, parking the car there. Which still sounds kind of funny to me. Like, why didn't you just park it at the lodge? I don't know. So, which that could have been true, So anyway, leave that on 20 minutes. I'm going to watch my time. Yeah, so I see the car, and I go, and evidently he must have drove his other car, because one car he parked in the garage and one car he kept on the side. Well, he always parked his car. Never mind, he always parked his car in the garage, and he had a car that he used to drive all the time or whatever was parked on the side. So evidently he must have drove this car, the car that he parks in the garage, the Honda. So I'm thinking he's inside with this person because the other car, the spare car, is on the side of the road. So I go and knock on the door. No answer. So I start banging on the door. Like, hey, you come and answer this door. I'm going to disturb whoever. Somebody going to come and answer this door. I go to the back of the house and I knock on the door back there. I end up driving away and just buying time because somebody either gonna leave that house or whatever. I know, I just gotta figure things out. Somebody gonna leave something. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna drive back around or whatever and see if somebody's leaving, see if I catch somebody leaving the house. Like, I'm just buying some time. So anyway, when I drove back around, I see police in the yard. I'm like, okay, let me get my hips on somewhere else. So anyway, I call him, and I guess evidently he calls me back, and he's like, what's going on? Because I don't know if I text him. I must have gave him some idea of what if that had went by. And he's like, do you know that my neighbor called the police or whatever? And then if you went to jail, he made a joke about it. If you went to jail, nobody would have been able to get you till Monday because it was the weekend. I went in the lodge or whatever, we discussing it and this, that, and ended up going to his house and staying the night. And he's just like, yeah, you can't be, doing that or whatever. And, me in my head, I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with it. Something was wrong with what I did. Something was wrong, but something wasn't wrong. The thing is, I'm saying it wasn't wrong is because he always tried to use these head tricks to kind of dim your light or to make you a passive person. And in a sense, it kind of worked or whatever with me. Like, it kind of worked, but not to the degree to where it worked with everyone else. Like, I was still gonna be like, hey, I'm an ass, whatever. You can't close my mouth unless you sew it shut or unless you break up with me. At work, he discussed it with our manager, the one that I said was, taught me how to play. He discussed it with her, and I guess she was like on my side, like I would do the same thing. Like, she was like, yeah, and I do it again too. I was like, that's that. Like, I don't feel bad about it, whatever. I went to jail. So I'm guessing he is using that incident as to why he came to this decision. He's using this. It reminds you, keyword using, because he has to set this game right. So once he says that, he's basically saying hey, I don't want nothing to do with you anymore, blah, blah, blah. So I break down. I go in his kitchen. I grab a knife. I am planning to slit my wrist. That's the control that I allowed this person to have over my, I guess, my head. Like, I allowed him to control like how I felt about myself, and I didn't want to live. I allowed him to have me feel that way, to control my feelings. So anyway, I go get a knife, and he takes the knife out of my hand, and he tells me to get out. No, it's gonna be okay, it ain't that serious. No, he tells me to get out. So I leave, and I am crying. It is raining. Why would anybody who has any type of care about you send you out of the house like that? So those are things that I thought about like later on, like that gave me, you know, fuel to end everything. Come to find out later from her, because we did have a conversation later, because she's like, what was going, like, I need to get clarity because he's saying that he want to work things out and he's gotten rid of you, blah blah blah. And I told her what happened. I said, yes, he did, you know, break up with me, but he did contact me before she did, and I did let her know that. And she was like, okay, you know what, I'm done, because he's playing tricks. Yeah, so basically, yeah, some kind of way, I don't remember what the conversation was, but it was a conversation that kind of led me to be back there, or where it was like this game between the both of us still. So anyway, she was like, you know, what happened? So I told her what happened, and he did put me out. She said, yeah, because he said that, oh, when he came back, he said, yeah, I know how to get someone out of my house, or whatever. They said, I know how to put somebody out. So just playing it that way. That night, I did go to my parents' house, and I cried all night. Like, I stayed there. I didn't stay in my apartment, and I went there and just cried. My parents was like, what's wrong? I wouldn't talk to them. I wouldn't even talk to them. Like, no, I would just cry the whole night. And somewhere there, I think that's when he sent me a text, but I didn't answer back. I did not answer back. You know, so that's when he went crazy or whatever. So that's how it happened. And he ended up, you know, talking to me at work and kind of reeling me back in. So at this point, she is done. She's tired of all the games and everything. Like, she's just sick. She's just tired. She's done. I remember we talked about like, hey, like he would have condoms in his drawer, and we both were counting them, and she was like, well, we're not using them, so like, why are they missing? Like, what's going on with them? Like, you know, and yeah, so I would see receipts for condoms where he went to go buy condoms, and like all these condoms, like, why are they missing? Like, he's saying that he giving them to his boys with his youth group that he mentors for. And like, come on now, really? Yeah, but that's just one of the incidents. Besides just finding out about me and things like that, and all these other people. So somewhere in there, we got back together. But this is the time that, so I'm bringing you back to what I was stating in my last video about her saying he's not going to leave unless I leave. It would have to be me. I would have to leave for him to move on, which I understand that to be true because the same thing happened with me. So it's like he always has a second person that's almost close to being like the main person, but that's unless the main person leaves. So when the main person leaves, that person moves in line. So he always has a few or whatever, and I guess he rates them from 1 to 10. I don't know how many he had, 1 to 20, whatever. So that's how it works. That's how I found out it works. So some kind of way we got it together. And in the meantime, I'm dealing with the older lady that I was talking about. I'm also dealing with 2 other people. Now, one, I can't remember how this happened, but you know, she kind of ended up getting pushed to the side. That's the one that when I was telling you about the Christmas incident, when I let the ex know about her, but some kind of way in there, like she just moved on, like she really didn't care. Now the older lady, like she's there. I think she's still in the picture. She's there, and we have run-ins or whatever. Not me and her, because mind you, she never said anything. I remember one day I asked her, hey, you know, is something going on with you and him? But let me talk about this first. So there's this other one. And one day at like, I know I always saw her going in and out, but I didn't think that she was his type. So I really did not feel threatened by her. So they were just talking one day, and me being the person who kind of is just kind of awkward and doesn't know what to say, like I always find myself, I still do that. Like I'm really awkward. So, you know, they were talking and I was like, girl, he lying or whatever, you know, like he lying. I'm gonna trust them lies or whatever all the time. Every time he opens his mouth, lie. So anyway, he was like, you just like a Luther, you know, curl or perm or whatever that just won't, you know, basically, you know, the Luther joke, like his curl just wouldn't curl. So just won't. And he was like, can you just I guess move away or whatever. And she was like, please. I couldn't make out what she said. I'm like, I wasn't totally sure if that's what she was saying. But I'm guessing, like I know now that's what she was saying, like, please, you know. Because, like, this is my man, basically. So there weren't many with her, but I would see them and I'm like, okay, something up. And it just was a minute before he even admitted that something was up with them. So back to the older lady. There were a few times where I saw her at the house, but I'm going to talk about this one incident. So I come to his house. It was one night. He wasn't answering the phone. I come to his house, knock on the door. He comes and answers it. And I'm like, so I'm looking around. It's dark downstairs, so ain't nobody downstairs. So she clearly must be upstairs. So I take my hips on upstairs, and I guess he tried to stop me before I did. I just ran on upstairs, and I saw her like sitting in the bed. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I say, when you want to know, you know, and she was like, yeah, I want to know, like, what's going on? Like, you know. So anyway, but she's still kind of passive because we know that he's played with her head enough to get her to where she won't say anything. You know, she won't really say anything, but yeah, she want to know, like, what's going on? So he was like, hey, just give me a minute. Let me handle the situation. So he's telling me, like, can you please just go home? You know, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to, you know, get some things straight. It's time for me to get some things straight. Like, he got all the sense in the world. That's what he's saying. So he comes downstairs. He walks me back downstairs. And he's like, hey, I'll be over your house later. Just let me handle this. I gotta get things right. Is what he's saying. But he ain't get things right. Because I'm sure that basically what was happening was the same thing that happened with the ex. He's telling her he got me out. It's about them. And I'm not sure why, you know, what he said to her to get her out of his house in order for him to come to my house. Because he does come to my house later. I'm not sure what he said. But either way it goes, he ended up at my house later. Me being stupid, let him in. I should have ended it then. There was just so many times. But that's neither here nor there. Let me just get the story out. So, at work, it's eating at me. So I'm like, hey, excuse me, what is going on with the two of you? You know, because and she finished my sentence before I said, she said, because yeah, you'll never get the truth out of him. I was like, yeah. She was like, so something, you know, y'all got something going on? She was like, yeah, you know. So I feel him in on this, and he's like, of course she's gonna say that. She just blew you off. She just blew you off or whatever. It's like she, you know, because you coming up to her. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, your friends, if I'm the girlfriend, like, they should respect me, especially your female friends. Like, they need to respect me. He told me, which is true to a certain degree, that they don't owe me anything. That is true. That is true. However, what I have learned is, like I told you, I never dealt with anything like that. Nothing. The only thing to compare with something like this is somebody telling me that basically, so this, that is true. They don't owe me anything, but you owe me the respect to tell them to respect me, or you won't be their friends. That is what you owe me. You owe me. No, she doesn't owe me a thing. You're right about that. But in my head, I'm like, no, she, you know, she see me or whatever. Just not understanding. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, I might have told him that too. So anyway, some kind of way, I guess he must have, some way or whatever, he must have told her what I said, and then I told him that what she said. I'm sure that he probably went into her. I'm sure he did. And she ended up writing him a letter or whatever. He showed me the letter. I can't remember what was on that letter, but I do remember him saying this, that she was like, well, why me? Or whatever. And he's like, but he tried to say it as a way like, why me as your friend? It was really, really confusing. Like, why me? And he was like, because you never give me any kind of, there's no animosity. So basically, like she's like a lay down girl. Like she just lets everything fly, in other words. However, like she's been in the picture all these years and he's never like giving her more than just that type of relationship, that office relationship. I'll call you when I call you, that kind of thing. She all the time cooking for him and all that. So I'm like, you know, like poor thing, you know, but poor me too. I ain't no better. I'm just a little more verbal. She's a little more passive. There's another coworker that comes into a picture. She's a new girl. She's young. She's probably in her 20s. Mind you, at this time, I am 26. So we started seeing each other. So let me tell you how this went. We started seeing each other when I turned 25. Like so the year that I was turning, I was 25, the year that I was turning 26. So I'm 26, probably going on 27. And like, yeah. So it was a minute. So I'm going on 27. So I'm 27 at the time. So this young lady was like early 20s, probably 21, 20, whatever. And I think that they were at somebody's party and she was there and some things happened that night. However, I did see her go in his office quite a bit. So anytime you see somebody going in the office, we know what that means. That means that he's trying to, reel them in. And I think it got to that point because for her to put this, it was like an apology on MySpace on these pictures. Like, I'm sorry about how for how I acted the other night, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, sorry about how you acted, like what? So he told me that she was at a party, XYZ. Okay, I took that. I'm like, but something's still up. So what I do is me being messy. That's when I told you that the incident with the ex or whatever, I would do the same thing. Messy me, I approach her at her desk. No. I didn't. Yeah, I did approach her. I approached her at the desk. And I was like, just trying to make it like, kind of passive. And I was like, something, but I don't remember what I said before this, but I was like, yeah, because, girl, I'd be monitoring his comments or whatever. She got offended by that and went to him. However, I'm thinking she got offended because he's supposed to be talking to her. But she got offended by, what I said. Like, how dare you come to me and say that to me? Because it was shady. I should have just been like, hey, honey, what's going on? Because that was the wrong way to approach somebody. I should have approached her like I approached everybody else. And now thinking about it, like, hey, I had become really, really passive with him. When I was that person, like, hey, look here, y'all got something going on. I didn't do that with her. And that was different for me. So yeah, I'm trying to do it in this little sneaky way, which was wrong. And yeah, she should have been offended, even if they had something going on. So I'm gonna rinse this off my face. All right, next I'm gonna take my rose water and put that on my face. So he goes into me, like he chews me out about this. And he's like leave my friends alone, but like you making it seem like, instead of just like straightening it out, if that is true, that hey, it wasn't nothing going on, or something like that, like that's just too much like right, because it wasn't right and he knew it. So your thing is to intimidate me into shutting my mouth. That's what you do. So when he goes off, he goes completely off, and he ends up deleting me as a friend on his Facebook, so I can't see anything. We end up becoming friends again on Facebook, but that's only when in another incident where breaking up and he wants me back. Right. So and that, so he would just punish me in those ways like that. So that was my way of being punished. Like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, or I'm just gonna, you know, do that. So after the incident, I ended up apologizing to her. So I was like, look, you know, I remember just, you know, like, hey, you know, seeing her, and I just grabbed her hand or whatever, and, you know, just to stop her or whatever, and say, hey, I completely apologize. You know, this is what I'm dealing with or whatever. And she just looked at me like, I can't remember what she was saying, but she was like, you can be gone with that little apology or whatever. And she just kind of walks off, you know. So we end up not talking. And I think now eventually, you know, I end up going back to being, I was on back end collections, like, you know, like way past people collections. And then I ended up going back to front end, where it's like 1 to 3 months behind. And she ended up training me again, because I had to train again for that, because, you know, I've been in back end for a minute. So she ends up being my trainer. She was very cordial or whatever, and all this, because I think nothing happened with them. Nothing could happen, I think, because I think she was the type like, hey, this ain't happening. So, you know, she was a very, very pretty girl. Later on, after I had Dallas, like, he invited me on a play date with them. But at this time, like, I was done with him or whatever. And, you know, she had a baby at the same time. So I ended up meeting her. Like, she's gained a little bit of weight. Not that matters. She's still pretty. She's gained a little bit of weight. And you could just see, like, the humility in her face. Like, she's just real humble. You know, she was very nice. And I'm like, hey, you know. But because I'm not that type, I think a lot of times, like, these people or people like that think that I'm going to return that type of energy. I admitted that I was wrong, and I tried to apologize about it. I tried to sincerely apologize, because it was wrong. Like, that's not even me. I was convicted. I did want to know. I should have just asked. Or not ask, or just leave the relationship altogether. Like I said, that's neither here nor there. Just let me tell the story. So after that incident, there are a few things that happened, and plus with all the head tricks, I remember one time, I don't know what it was about, and it could have been that incident, I'm not sure, but he got upset with me and started, yelling at me for coming to him about something that was going on at work that he was doing with somebody. Again, the disrespect with these other women. And he got upset. Like, anytime he was guilty, he would get really, really upset and irate, because he thought it would scare me. And it did. It worked. So he was like, he just went off. He said, yeah, you know, you trusting, basically, it made no sense. Like, who gonna have Chris's back? Who gonna have my back, is what he said. Who gonna have my back? And, you know, just going in. So I ball up like this. And I'm just sitting down there, and I'm quiet. I ain't going in like I was. You know, he got me to shut up. He was like, yeah, and come and rub my back. Took my dumb butt up over there to rub his back, because I'm stupid. Yeah, that's what I did. I mean, he went in and then told me to come and rub his back, and I go in and do it. So that's one incident. And then another one, he went off again, yelling and screaming. And mind you, the ex told me about an incident where he was yelling and screaming and yelling and hollering. He punched a hole in her door, and he ended up paying for that door. However, he punched a hole in her door, and she said it was an intimidation tactic. And that's what it was. And it was starting to work, because like I told you, like, I started getting this. And I remember one coworker telling me, you need to come help out. I remember one coworker telling me, you need to get that hump out your bag. And I had a hump in my bag. I did. I was just like, you know, like turning into this person that I didn't like. I lost myself. So now that that's dry, I'm going to use the Daily Brightening Serum from Good Molecules, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing during this video. Is doing my facial. And press it into my skin like that. Yeah, so this incident could have been approaching him about somebody at work again. I don't know. Who knows? Let that dry. He goes berserk, gets my picture, slams it on the floor, gets my keys, and throws them downstairs and tells me to get out just get out, I start hyperventilating. And I go into, I believe, was a panic attack. Do you know what he told me? So he ends up telling me, I don't know how long this went on, the hyperventilating, but he told me to shut up. Right. Shut up so he can go to sleep. Right. And I stood there and made the choice to let him talk to me that way. I sat up there and I made that choice to let him talk to me that way. Man, when I tell you. And there were other like little tiny incidents like to bring my confidence down, like telling me I went to a technical college where he went to a 4-year university. I mean, which like he ended up going for and doing a job that I could get with no 4-year degree. I mean, and I think I ended up telling him that. So, because he would belittle my school all the time. He's like, oh, well, you just, you went to, somewhere. And I told him like, hey, my parents are really strict. Like, I couldn't do that. That's just an excuse, just something to make me feel this small. And anytime I said the word I can't, I know it was like, I can't do that. He's like, if I hear you say it again, I will leave you. Then other times, I remember one time he told me, I guess he said that I act childish, which I'm goofy and I'm awkward. And I mean, it has been hard for me to make friends. Well, it has been hard for me to make black friends because black women are really like hard to, they're not necessarily friendly. I ain't gonna say all of them. There are black women out there that are friendly and but no. But a lot of them, especially ones that worked in this company, they were really, really like not approachable. Like they weren't, or they didn't take my personality because I'm goofy and I'm happy-go-lucky. And a lot of times I find with black women, they're not that way. Like they're super serious, and I don't know if they just don't like. I don't understand. So I'm goofy or whatever, and I'll kiki and kaka, and and sometimes I'll get really loud and get really carried away. And I'll start, talking to, my cube mate or whoever. And I know one day he was like, yeah, you need to like lay off all that. And he was like, that's why, nobody really wants to deal with you. And I can't say that was true. I had my friends. Nobody ever gave me that impression, but I do know that I can't, like I said. But it wasn't the point where like they were just like standoffish. He's like, yeah, somebody made the comment that, and then wonder why she don't bonus. Like there were a couple times where I missed the bonus, and then wonder why she don't bonus. She had like it was like she what? She 20. And at this time I think I was 27. She 27? I thought she was like 20. And then wonder why she don't bonus. So next I'm gonna take the natural retinol, whatever how you pronounce that name. Put that on. So that was one. And I mean, and I'm sure there are others, but like I said, it was just all kind of like head games. This playing with my head. And then just him as a person, when I came to grips and really, really thought about like, why am I with this person? I just noticed like what I was in love with. I was in love with the chase. I was in love with chasing him. I was in love with the idea of him. Because in the beginning, he gave me this nice date. He gave me all this talk about like how all these people did him and how all these people did him wrong and cheated on him and all that. And I found out like you the cheater, like you're the one, singing that song from Neo, Go On Girl or whatever, not giving, not treating him right or whatever. And his idea of not treating him right is not dealing with his mess. So you're not supposed to say anything. So he would, in his head, he would spin it or make you believe that you're wrong for saying something to him, that you're the person, like you don't need to be saying anything or whatever. But I think the thing is, it wasn't working with me. It was working, but it wasn't completely working. So anyway, when someone runs that much, I never really got to know who he was. I still don't know who he is. He has no personality. Like he was like this hard piece of metal with no cushion. Not saying he acted cold or anything like that. Like he had no, I ain't gonna say substance. Like he was like this blank sheet of paper. And you have to, I don't know. He was like this blank sheet of paper. Like he had, like everything he did seemed like a facade. Like everything seemed like he was acting, even when he was trying to be empathetic. So I remember after having Dallas that I was upset about something, and he says, and I'm gonna do my hand the way he did it. He says, and it was something that he was just totally just wrong for, and he was like, basically don't worry about that right now, because really I don't want to deal with it right now, is what he's saying. You need to get your strength back up. What? Just get your strength back up. And I'm like, we in a soap opera? Like that, you so fake. You're so fake. So it was always kind of like that. Like it just, like his empathy, like his, nothing seemed like genuine. Like it seemed like you were doing that because that's how you know you're supposed to act. Not like I could feel that it was an act and it wasn't real. Like he never took the time to get to know me. Like I remember one day I was like, do you even know like how my grandmother died? Do you even know stories about my grandmother? Like you've never, when I would talk to him, it's like he wasn't even listening to me. He would look at, like all he did was look at ESPN, like all day long. He would look at ESPN and proceed to doing what he was doing. Like he was never listening to me. Like he was looking through me. He never listened to me. Like I can tell you he doesn't know anything really about me. Like, I'm like, do you know what my favorite color is? Like, as far as gifts go, like, he only bought gifts during holidays. He never bought a just because gift. Even now with the child, like, he doesn't do that. He's starting to do it now. Because I think he knows, like, hey, it's a good look for me. So everything, if it doesn't benefit him, then he's not going to do it. That's it. But I'll take it either way. I mean, I just told her, like, hey, that's your daddy. So anyway, I did that, and now I am going to take the Andalou, the marine collagen, next, and put that on. So yeah, nothing seemed like, it was just always like that. Like nothing seemed genuine. He told the same 10 stories, and then when I ended up, like, like after having Dallas or whatever, like going to spend time with him, find out like that wasn't true. Like you talking about you was raised by your grandmama and all this, and that one, you went there for a few, like you've been raised, like you was with your parents in Germany. Like what are you talking about? So, and then you was dirt poor, and that wasn't the case. You had 2 military parents. They made pretty good money. Like he had to pull himself up in the bootstraps. Like nobody sent him a care package to USC. Like nobody did anything for him. Like even now when we talk about family, he's like, yeah, family ain't gonna be there like for your, like for you, like your friends. Like he just made it seem like his family was not there for him. The thing is, you are running away from your family because your family really knows who you are. That is it. You don't want anybody else to know who you really are. And which, like, I don't know. But I know that he was like the kid that didn't, wasn't really was looked over in school or whatever. And I don't know if that's who created who this person is. And then you pledge, you pledge Sigma, and then you become this person. I don't know. So next I'm going to moisturize my face with the Cetaphil Daily Oil-Free Hydrating Lotion. And the only reason I'm using oil-free right now is because of the fact that my skin has broken out so much. And one thing, I forgot to do my spot treatment. I don't think it's too late to do that, but here's my spot treatment. This is from Urban Skin Solutions. It's a acne serum. But another thing is, I think this might be from just like it being summertime and it makes you sweat and you get super oily. I don't know. I'm gonna take my little roller here and roll my skin while I talk to you. So yeah, I just think he was just trying to run away from who he really is, and like here, and he doesn't want to go home because he doesn't want to. He don't want to. He especially don't want his parents to find out like this is who he is, and he just been playing around and cheating all over the place or whatever. Just hadn't been the best character he could be. So this brings me to like the end. So I, mind you, oh yeah, pregnant. So I end up getting pregnant, and by this time, like I had already broken up with him. Like I mean, it just got to be too much, and I ended up breaking up with him. I told him that, hey, you don't have to, be with me or anything. I'm just like giving you the opportunity to be a father, and that's all. We don't have to do anything else. So he's like, no, I want a family. So me being like a sucker for that, like, hey, yeah, you're right. We need to give this child a family. So thinking that like, hey, this is what he wants. So I get into it. Now, mind you, all in the pregnancy, I'm miserable. I am miserable. And he's still doing these little head games, but it wasn't working because I think my focus was so much on my pregnancy and just being sick all the time or whatever. I just didn't have time for this. I remember like one time going to his house, and this is my final time going over there. I asked him, I said, can you go downstairs and cut me an orange and slice it, a certain way? Because oranges, for whatever reason, I don't know, they kind of made me feel better. He told me that they had did a study at USC, University of South Carolina. They had did a study at USC saying that morning sickness is all in your head. Huh? How is morning sickness all in your head when they give you things for morning sickness and it's your HCG levels? Your HCG levels are high, so it kind of causes like the nausea or whatever. It's like a chemical, thing that causes. Don't let me get into the scientifics of it. But I'm like, what? So I think I gave him the best cussing out, but I'm not gonna curse on here. But I was like, what? I said, you don't have to ever worry about me coming over here ever again. If we were saying this then, I would say that to him then. If you didn't want to just peel the orange, just say that. If you didn't want to go get it, just say that. But no, he tried to put it all on me, that it's all in my head. I say, you know what? You have to worry about me coming over here ever again. That's all right. I won't be coming back. And I didn't. I did not come back through the pregnancy. So another time I asked him to go to Olive Garden. I was craving Alfredo. He told me, he laughed about it. Did I get the Alfredo? No. Because I figured like he'd come and see me, I'm pregnant or whatever, like he's right there for me. He can stop by, get the Olive Garden and bring it to me. No, he did not. He kind of just laughed about it, you craving Alfredo. Never did it. Then I asked him if he can get me a footstool, if he could buy me a footstool. He told me, I'm sure, with all that junk your mama got in that house or whatever, you could find a footstool. And mind you, my mama's house is not junky. It's highly decorated, but it's not junky. It's not cluttered. It's not junky. But he was like, all the stuff she got in there, whatever, like, you can get you can find a footstool. Really? So nothing, like I was never catered to. Now he would come to the doctor, to the office visits or whatever, but like, as far as like helping me, no, he did not at all. So fast forward sometime, I had, and this was like, kind of almost like the last straw. This is like when, like, if I did have like a little flicker of a light, it went completely out. I hadn't had Dallas or whatever, so I've already had Dallas. I'm not sure. I'm at my parents' house. It's crowded. So it's crowded. I think she's about, we've been there a year. She's got she's one or sometime somewhere past that. And I'm like, hey, we need to discuss like what our, next step is. Like, hey, you said you wanted to get married. So now I'm going to use my sunscreen. Yeah, you want to get married. And we need to start discussing like how we gonna do this. What we gonna do? Are we gonna buy a house? We're gonna stay in your house. Like what's gonna happen? Like what? Basically, I don't even think I got that far before he was like, hey, pretty much I'm worried about the wrong thing. He was like, you talking about marriage when you never even bought a house yet. You're 28 years old and you never bought a house. Why would I buy a house if you didn't told me? I could have been buying a house while I was pregnant. What if you didn't told me like this is the plan? So I'm like, oh, okay. So after he said that, guess what I said? Okay, I'm going to bed now. So the next day, I started looking at houses. It didn't work out. I started looking at houses, went through the process, was approved for a loan, whatever. It didn't work out. So my next move, I moved out. So I ended up getting, doing a 6-month lease at one place. I didn't really like staying over there at those apartments. Like, they were run down. Mind you, this dude was only giving me $25 a week. $25 a week. For the for the baby or whatever. He did offer me to stay with his house, but I was like, no, for you to never marry me, no, I'm not doing that. You a fool. Like, I'm not doing that. So I ended up moving into, mind you, I didn't break up with him at that point. Like, I'm still trying to do this for the child or whatever. And at this point, I'm like, Doug, I'm numb and whatever. And it's like, whatever, I don't really, I'm sick of you. So I ended up moving into another apartment, and I did a 6-month lease. And I did a 6-month lease. Now, mind you, because they're like, why you keep doing this? Because I'm not claiming staying at the apartment. But this time at this apartment, I didn't hang one picture. I ain't put one decoration up. I had my table, my couch, and the bed that me and Dallas slept in. That is it. I barely had any pots out. Everything was still packed up. They had a little storage closet out there, and I put everything in there because I was not staying there. And a few months later, at the end of my lease, like right at the end of my lease, it's time for me to move into my house. And I had a house. He didn't know about it. He didn't find out about it. He either found out on Facebook or I told him whatever. We was moving into the house. Because, mind you, it was rocky. I wasn't really like catering him or communicating with him. I think he was like, he was kind of one trying to initiate the call, trying to, and I'm like, I was numb. So in the house, I finally just broke it down to him like this. I was like, look, I don't know if I don't even want you. And it was just kind of like that. And I guess me being who I am, I wanted to soften the blow. So I did that whole thing where, hey, let me think about it, give me some time. So it's kind of time having, like, before I know whether or not I want to be with you or not. I'm not in the relationship with you now. I'm not in the relationship with you. I just need to know whether or not I'm going to be with you or not. So he's trying or whatever. And I'm sure he's entertaining other people. I know he is. He entertaining other people. But he wants like that main one. So it was a incident like the ex. For him to move on with whoever he is with now, the person that he is with now, for him to move on with them, he needed me to to let go. That is what happened. So the person that he's with now, if they ever see this video, just know it happened to me. I'm not gonna lie about it. And I'm sure you're dealing with this person. How many lies have you caught them in? And you don't even know me, but he has a history. So he's the common denominator. But anyway, and then even with that, like with her, oh yeah, let me get to this. When in the relationship, he had this bag filled with cards. It was sickening. Filled with cards and pictures and letters from different women. Like this big lawn leaf bag filled with that. And I don't know if he just got off on that, like, the fact that these people didn't gave him all this stuff. But yeah, he filled that bag up. He had a drawer full, like he had those everywhere, like in different little hiding spots. And I found this bag and I was like, so her picture was in there. And I remember it was a recent card, and she was like, yeah, until we're together again, and all that. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, that's a friend of the family, saying that's a friend of the family. And turns out the family didn't even know her. They was like, we don't know her. We just know he went to school with her. We don't know her. We don't know her at all. They just now knowing her. But that's what he told me. So anyway, so there was one incident where I posted a picture of him and I together on MySpace. And at this time, he was still dealing with the ex. So what he told her, we'll post a picture of us. So basically, it's making us look like we crazy. And ain't now one of us taking the picture down. That's it. So we over there just look really, really stupid because ain't now one of us taking the picture down. Like he said, well, you do it. You know, because I guess she called him. But at the same time, he didn't know that I posted it. Somebody called him, and it was her. It was the one that he's with now. She called him and let him know. He said, all I remember is I'll take care of it. So the thing is, you dealing with this one, so she been there the whole time too. I'll take care of it. Oh, okay. That's you playing everybody. So anyway, he was like, yeah, he basically told, later on, come to find out, like sometime after that, he told her to put up a picture too. Not the one that's in Atlanta, not the one that he's dealing with now, not that one. But the ex, he told her to put a picture up. Now the one that he's dealing with now, he just told her on the phone, like while I was there, like I'll handle it. So yeah, that's just bringing you up to speed about that. But yeah, so I'm fast forward, I'm done. I'm like, and then finally, like that was pretty much the end of the relationship. I just we never got back. So I finally had a conversation with him. And mind you, like he never provided financially. He's not a good support system at all. I remember needing new brakes. I'm driving around your child and you were like, hey, let's see what you got going on and see where you can buy you some brakes. Instead of just giving me the money to buy brakes. That was enough for me. I'm done with you. I'm sick of you. So I told him in our breakup, I said, you're really at this point just here for nothing. You are here for nothing. You are just a man. I got a man to say that I have a man. And I don't want that. I want you to be a man, and I want the love, I want the support mentally and the support financially. I can't deal with this. And this is not like the only thing I see, like I don't respect you, because to me I can't respect you. You're not doing anything for me to respect you. You're not providing, you're not doing. So that pretty much was the end of that relationship. Like, I mean, there are other incidents, but honey, we ain't got 4 hours. But those were like pretty much like the main things that happened within the relationship that just were not good. So I'm gonna end this with a little Burt's Bees. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this brings inspiration to someone. Because I didn't experience this. Like nobody warned me about this. Nobody told me, so I had to use my own common sense. Luckily, this didn't go on too long. It went on long enough, but it didn't go on too long. So I think that might have been like 3, of us being off and on. So I went pretty much from her birth till now, like being numb. Like I was just completely like, I remember there was one time where I was at his house. This is after I had the baby. Yeah, I did go back, but it was few and far in between. I went to his house and I saw the older lady, or what they was living there. I saw her picture in the drawer. And like I couldn't even cry. So at that point, like the thing that he could get me back in on is like family and doing this for the family or whatever. So those are the things that would touch my heartstrings, and acting like he was so hurt. So those are those are things that touch because he knew that he was dealing with an actual human with a soul, unlike him without a soul, who's just like numb to everything. So there was ways to get me back in. So it was like a bunch of that, but I just didn't have any feelings for him. Like I was not in love with him at all, because there was nothing to be in love with. I just discovered that there's nothing to be in love with. So when I tell women now, when they're chasing after somebody, like really, I'm like, so why are you doing this? Like, what are you in love with? Like, what is it? Like you're running after this issue. You're running after an issue, and you're chasing after an issue that you're gonna have issues, and you're chasing after that. Like, you want that? That's what you want? Because like, just let it go. And if he want to straighten out and be with you, he gonna do that. Moral of the story. But anyway, for now, till next time, I'll have more of these because there are more, you know, relationships that I can talk about. There are more incidents. There are more, you know, situations or whatever that I can talk about. Not more relationships, but more incidents or things where I basically came to know, like, who I am. Not really that. You just know that my worth and know that I don't know what I want to deal with. But anyway, for now, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I guess if I got a notification bell, like hit the notification bell so you know when I post. All right. Ta-ta.